Rachel, I'm so thrilled to have you today. Thank you so much for being with me.
Absolutely, Rebecca. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, this is going to be fun. So, I am so excited to get to know you. I have loved reading and listening about your new book. It's called Know Yourself, Know Your Money. And there's so many just good nuggets of wisdom that we get to talk about today. So, I'm really excited to hear from you kind of the backstory. Like, how did this idea, this message, this book sort of take shape for you?
Yeah, this was a fun book to write because it was a little bit different. I mean, I've realized, in a decade of doing this job, I always talk about the how to. So, how to budget, how to get out of debt, how to invest, how to refinance, how to give, how. But personal finance is 80% behavior. It's
Yeah.
only 20% head knowledge. And so that how to of the head knowledge part is really important to know because it gives you direction and guidance, but it's not the thing that's going to keep you motivated. And so
Mm.
I thought, okay, so I can know the how to, but understanding why I handle money the way I do is so important. And a few years ago, I remember I was kind of at this like crossroads in my life, if you will, where I was like, okay, I'm getting all this information. I remember I read the book, The Birth Order, because I'm a middle child, and
Yeah.
like knowing how that affected who I am today. I was in some counseling. All of these pieces were coming together. And I just realized, man, I am a pretty complex person, right? Like all these
Yeah.
things about my story and my life has made who I am today, who I am. And so I realized, okay, I am a better wife. I'm a better mom. I'm a better friend, but I'm just self-aware and know why I'm doing the things I'm doing. And so the same goes with our money. So after kind of that journey that I'm still sort of on, but I realized, okay,
Yeah.
why do I handle money the way I do? And so as I started unpacking this and figuring out, it's everything from tendencies to personality to how you were brought up to your dreams, your fears. I thought, oh gosh, this is so good. I was like, this has to be my next book because for
Yeah.
me, it's a really fun as an author to be able to kind of go underneath that surface. And I've kind of written above the surface, if you
Mm.
will, again, about the habits we have with money, how to teach your kids about money, all of that. But going to more of the heart, emotional parts of money was really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So everything you're saying reminds me of like my first year of marriage. So we're still sort of in the newlywed camp. We've been married almost 2 years. Man, those first few months of marriage, I just remember there were so many things that we would look back and be like, well, this is how we handled it in our house growing up. And so maybe that's why I'm coming from the place that I'm coming from. Or as you start to sort of navigate, like, what's my role in the house? What's his role in the house? You really have to sometimes go back to sort of family of origin to see why you feel the way that you feel. And that's been so interesting in marriage. And I love that you take that sort of thought into our finances. I just love it so much. So, one of the ideas that you unpack in the book is this idea of money classrooms. And I love this. I want you to share a little bit about that and how it sort of impacts how and why we handle money as adults.
Well, money is communicated in two ways in a household. It's communicated verbally, but it's also communicated emotionally.
Mm.
And so as I was kind of writing this manuscript and going back, I kind of landed on those 2 points because it's either talked about verbally or it's not. It's either really stressful and a hard topic in a household, or it's really free and not a big deal. But those things kind of all collide. And I remember thinking, oh, creates a quadrant. Like God gave me this graph for this
Yes.
book and I'm so happy about it because I love a graph. And I'm like, yes. So it creates these 4 money classrooms. So the first money classroom is the anxious money classroom. And this is where it's verbally closed. So it's not talked about, but it's emotionally stressed.
Mm.
So this would be a classroom that you felt tension around money, maybe by the end of the month when bills were due. It was never talked about, but you felt it. Classroom number 2 is the unstable money classroom. And this is where it's verbally open, but emotionally stressed. So lots of conflict, lots of fighting. You heard it and it was not great.
Yeah.
Classroom number 3 is the unaware money classroom. And this is where it's verbally closed, but emotionally calm. So this would be the classroom that you grew up probably with your head in the sand when it comes to money. And you left at 18 or 21 and you thought, well, I know nothing about the subject. Like it was never a big deal growing up, but no one ever talked about it. And then classroom number 4 is definitely the healthiest money classroom. And this is the secure money classroom. And this is where it's verbally open, but emotionally calm. So it's talked about, money is talked about in a free way, but there's control over money. And if you had two parents in the picture that were married still, like they were on the same page. There was a plan. So there was a level of control that allowed that calm emotion to be present in the household. And so being able to just identify which one you are, because what's interesting too, Rebecca, is I find that people either gravitate towards how they were raised and they kind of just emulate and mirror without even realizing it, or they do the complete opposite, right?
Okay.
Or they're like, absolutely not. That's how I grew up. So I'm going to go the complete opposite. So just being aware of why you handle money the way you do, and those strings that pull back to your childhood are so key, because it shapes so much of how we see money today.
Yeah. Man, that's so good. I was anticipating that you were going to say that. Just the thought of how some people go. I mean, we do that with a lot of things, right? We do that with parenting. We do that with so many things in our lives. And so it makes sense that we would do it with money as well. So, each of us, and we talked about this a little bit, but just to go deeper, each of us come to quote money with sort of a different set of experiences and tendencies. And you talk in depth about these tendencies in the book. And so I'd love for you to share, you don't give away all your secrets, but just what are some of these that we can learn about in the book?
Well, the tendency part of the book, I loved writing because I wanted this to be a non-guilt, non-shame section. I wanted it to be that how you are is not right or wrong. I mean, now I talk about the extremes can be unhealthy, and that's where things get right or wrong. But our tendencies and kind of just your knee-jerk reaction, if it's counterbalanced and there's a moderate way of seeing it, it's not bad or good. And so a few of these tendencies that I talk about, for instance, is a spender or a saver. So this is a pretty easy one, right? Like if you get $100 today, are you more apt just to go buy it and spend money, or are you more apt to save it? And in my world, the savers always get the applause. Everyone's like, oh, you're a saver. You're so good. You're so good. I'm like, no, because I'm a spender. And I'm like, no, I can win with the money and still be a spender. Yeah. But realizing those extremes can be unhealthy. So for the saver, they kind of get applauded in my world of like, oh, you're so responsible. But sometimes they close their fist and they hold on to it so tightly that they're not generous. There's a level of unhealthy security they find from money, and they hoard it. So we don't want to go to that extreme, but you want to be wise and save. The spender, it's okay to spend money. That's great. Spend some money. You have to live in this world, number one, but it's okay to enjoy what you've worked for. Now, if you go to the extreme and you spend everything you make, you're going to be broke. You're trying to find your happiness in something and it's not working, right? So finding that balance is really important. Another one, if you're married, it's always interesting to talk about this with your spouse, but when you spend money, do you tend to spend it on experiences or things? And this is where a rub can happen. This is me and my husband. We're opposite on every tendency. As I was writing it, I was like, well, this is over here. I'm over here. Oh yeah, we're completely opposite.
Are you experience or things?
Oh, I'm experience
all
the way.
Okay.
I would spend money on a great dinner out with friends or a vacation or go to the zoo with my kids. I don't need anything tangible, but an experience. Oh, it's my favorite. Or Winston. Oh, the complete opposite. He's like, listen, if I work hard and I make money, I want to spend it on something that's going to advance my life and that I can use over and over again. So we always laugh. His birthday's next month and he's like, I really want a drone. I was like, you get a drone, babe. You get a drone. I want a massage. Take me to the spa. You can have the drone. Yeah. So it just makes me laugh because we're so different, but neither one's right or wrong, but just knowing it and being able to talk about it. Another one is quality or quantity. So do you lean more on the quality side of things? That's my husband. So he would have 3 pairs of boots, but they'll last him 20 years, right?
Yeah.
If he buys something like a TV, he's like, no, we need a really not, we will spend money on a nice thing. We'll go quality, where I'm quantity. I'm put a TV in every room and just get some cheap ones. It's fine. We can replace it. Or I'll have 30 pairs of earrings versus one nice pair.
Yep.
So I love the options and the quantity, but again, the extremes you got to watch out for on both ends. So so there's about 7 of those that I write about in the book, and just being able to name it. And again, I think there's a little bit of levity just to say, okay, that is kind of how I'm wired. And I want people to feel known in it too when they read it, where they're like, yes, that is me. I can relate to that. And that there's not shame or guilt around it.
Yeah. Okay. This is so good. First of all, I feel like we would make a really good double date situation, because I think we're the same person and I think our spouses are the same people. So with the whole experience versus things one, I was thinking about this morning as I was reading back through my questions, and my husband and I were both working on books, and I told him
How fun. Yeah.
a couple months ago, I said, this is something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to swim with dolphins. I loved dolphins as a child. It was like always my favorite animal. And I just have never been somewhere where you can like, you know, do the whole wetsuit, like swim with dolphins thing.
Oh,
always
and they come up under your feet and you
yes.
like arch back and they take, yeah.
Yes. Totally. It just sounds like a dream to me. And so I told him, I said, I think that's what I'm going to do when I sign my first book deal. Like that's going to be how I celebrate. And
I love it.
Doesn't that sound so fun? And so, but he is the total opposite. And he's the same way with the quality versus quantity thing. The greatest thrill of my life is taking like 3 hours and going through a thrift store and finding like Banana Republic, everything, and everything's $4. Like that is the dream of my life, where my husband would so prefer to, again, get like the more expensive 3 pairs of boots, but he never has to buy shoes because he will invest that money in them. So
yes,
we're just like the same couple. I love that. And
that's so funny.
Yeah. I love too, how it's just freeing to know that about yourself, even if, you know, like you said, there are extremes to that, but there are those safeguards and those red flags, and that's the awareness I want for people. Because even for me with quantity, I don't know if you feel this way, but I will justify stuff. Like I'll get on Amazon. I did it. Oh yeah, Rebecca, I did it last night. Yeah. I'm just starting to work out again in life. I'm in one of my journey, and so I was like, I need a couple of tops. Like I need some workout tops because I haven't worked out in 6 years. So I go on Amazon, and they're like $15.99, like so cheap. And I was like. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not getting Lululemon, so I can buy 3 of these. Absolutely. Do I need 3? I don't know, because I have other stuff in my. I don't know, but I justify because I'm like, oh, it's inexpensive. It's not that big of a deal. Sure, just put them in my cart and I'll get it. But I can start to kind of medicate or cope with spending because I justify it that it's really inexpensive. It's not a big deal. Where I just have to watch out to make sure, number one, obviously, do I have the money tactically, but also am I trying to fill something in me by these purchases because I'm justifying it because it is inexpensive, where quality people, like it's so funny because Winston is the most low maintenance guy, like he's so low maintenance, but he gets in these little kicks where he's like, no, I need this type of whatever. And I'm like, get off the high horse. You can get something a little bit cheaper. You don't have to go for the best. But in his head, he's like, I never spend money. So if I'm going to spend it, I'm going to spend it on like a really nice, thing, which makes sense. I get it. So just making sure on that extreme that it's not, something that's fulfilling some type of brand, right? Women, especially like the name brand or the designer, like we can get caught up in the type of purse and all of that. So making sure that doesn't become your identity is big. Yes, I totally agree. And I think in marriage, in the short time we've been married, there have been several times where the opposite tendency has rubbed off on the other. I think for us, so a good example of that was about 3 months ago. The rules were still super weird at our gym. And like, I'm not going to run on a treadmill with a mask on. You know what I mean? Like that's just not something that I'm going to be a part of. I can't breathe anyways. Yeah. So yeah. I know. Yeah. And so we started saving to buy a bike for the house, like an indoor bike. Yeah. And I kept coming to him basically like, okay, we could get this one that's like $700 and you can hook an iPad to it and do the Peloton classes. It's kind of like a fake off of a Peloton. And like I was trying to like most bang for your buck, and he finally just looked at me and said, Rebecca, you want a Peloton. You don't want to buy the $700 bike. I can see it in your eyes. Like, let's just wait a while and let's save and get the dang Peloton, That's right. And so that's what we did. But I never would have chosen that myself had he not pushed me. And so now we're going to have a bike that's going to last us the rest of our lives. And it's going to be great. For sure. Oh, and you get all the classes, you get all the stuff. It's amazing. It's the best. It's the best. Best money I've ever spent in my life. So another topic, and I think this is so important, I'm so glad that you talk about this in the book, is fear. And what we may not realize is in our financial life, there are fears that kind of come into play in how we handle things. And I think if we can name some of these, like everything else that we've talked about, it helps us sort of overcome them. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, fear was an interesting thing to dive into. I talked to Dr. Chip Dodd about this because I love what he says about fear. He said, fear is your body's literal response that you are in need of something. So when that fear rises up, it's your body saying, okay, I need help. I'm in need of something. And so being able to name that. Now, when fear goes to the extreme side, it goes into anxiety. It goes where you're paralyzed and you can't even make a decision. Like, that's unhealthy fear. I don't want that. But when that initial money fear rises up, listen to it and say, okay, what is this telling me? Because for a lot of people, one of the top financial fears is the lack of security. And so this idea that if something happens, are we going to be okay? And for years, I would talk about this a little bit, and it was always women's top financial fear. But 2020 came and it suddenly became the number one, male or female. So people felt this because you look at the stats and 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency in cash. 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And so if that's you, if you're in that statistic and you are furloughed or you lose your job because of who knew a pandemic was going to hit, there is going to be fear. That fear is going to rise up because you're thinking, how I don't have money to pay my bills. So let that fear not paralyze you. I don't want it to take over your life and go into anxiety. But what is it telling you? It's probably telling you, wow, the way I've been handling my money right now probably isn't the best. I probably do need money saved in the bank. I probably shouldn't be, spending all this money on stuff that I don't need, or my lack of planning. So I just have to put everything on credit cards because I haven't planned well. All of that comes to the surface. So listen to it, listen to that. And that can actually be a motivator. I don't think fear is your only motivator by any means. It's not always a great long-term motivator, but that first initial step, let it happen. Say, okay, what do I need to put in place? Some people's fear is this idea that these external forces are going to control my life and my money, right? So elections, or again, a pandemic, which all happened together. I wrote this book before 2020. So when all of this started playing out, I was like, oh my gosh, this plays into every fear. And 2020 was the election, the pandemic, all of it. And I'm like, yeah, these people have people have a fear that all of this stuff out here is going to affect me. And does it affect you? Parts of it, sure. But if we sit there and watch the news 24/7 and wring our hands over things we can't control, that's not doing any good for you. So with that one, focusing on what you can control. What can you control? I can control that I have a work ethic. I can control that I will go do any job and make an income and and I can control what I do with that money once it hits my bank account. I can control the people I hang out with, what is being fed into my heart and my mind. There are things in our lives that we can control. And so focusing on that versus the things you can't. So there's 6 of these money fears, but breaking them down is really important because, again, it may be your jump start. It might be kind of that point in your life where you said, okay, I'm done. I'm done having this fear because it keeps rattling around in my brain. I'm actually going to do something, make a change, speak truth over it, and actually possibly change the way I've been handling money.
Yeah, that's so good. Sometimes it does take that moment to almost be like a last straw of, all right, we're not going to live this way anymore. And I love that you kind of bring that out. That's so good. So for the girl who is listening right now and she's just never been a saver, it's just not in her nature, but she wants to be, it's just not her tendency. What advice would you give her to just begin to take steps in that direction today?
Yes. I would say, number one, change is hard. So if something doesn't come natural to you or you haven't been in the habit of doing it, it's really hard. It's really hard. And there's friction because you're doing something new. It feels a little bit vulnerable, all of that. And I feel it's literally right now, Rebecca, I'm sitting in this chair and I am so sore because I've not worked out in 6 years and I just started on Monday and I've gone every day this week so far. It's been 4 days in a row. And even the girl that's helping me, I'm a little bit insecure because she'll say things like, tuck your tailbone or engage your abs, do these things. And I'm
what does that even
I don't know
mean?
what that, I was I don't know what that means. So I feel so exposed where I'm oh my gosh, I can't even do a push-up. I have to do a modified push-up. there's things about it that I'm oh, and it's physically uncomfortable. I'm working out things in my body that I've never worked out before besides holding a kid in a diaper bag. That's it. And so the same is true with your money. There's going to be things that are uncomfortable. You're going to do things, you're going to make sacrifices, and it's going to feel this is so hard. But at the end of it, it's but for the first time in my life, I have control over my money. For the first time in my life, I actually have a say over what's going on. And so all of that change is worth it. So push through the change. That would be number one. It's going to be uncomfortable, but stick with it. Number two, I would say do a budget. It's kind of my go-to answer, but it's true. When you budget, you're able to tell your money where to go. So if you want to save, I don't even $100 next month. I don't care what it is, whatever amount you're like, no, I'm going to try to save this. You write it up at the top of your budget and you work everything else around it. That means you may cut out some out to eat. That means you may not go shopping this month. You may not go buy those 2 workout shirts on Amazon, like whatever it is. You actually have a plan though to get that money that you want to save. Your goal for that month is I want to save this. And then another really tactical step is to get a savings account. Don't keep it in your checking account because it'll start to, you'll start to spend it and see, oh, there wasn't as much in there. Have it somewhere separate that you can say, okay, and watch it build. And there is this motivation to say, okay, I'm actually doing it. Like when you actually make those first couple of steps, because for some people, they never save. That's like not part of what they do. So even a little bit at a time, you start putting it away, you'll see, okay, I can do this. And that's the behavior change. We talked about the 80-20, 20% head knowledge, 80% behavior. So getting those wins, those quick wins, even with saving is so important. That's why even paying off debt, I tell people to pay off the smallest amount versus the smallest amount to the largest amount versus the highest interest rate. Like it's not about math. It's about actually getting those wins. And the same is true with saving.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, I'm going to give you a plug for your podcast because I was listening to your conversation with Annie Downs when her book came out a few weeks ago, which, gosh, love her. Yes. But you talked at the beginning of the episode about sinking funds, and it was like the best. You just unpacked it really well and like really quickly. So for people who have never heard of that strategy, I love the way that you talked about that. So while we're on this conversation, that's a really good conversation just to listen to if you want to learn more. And you've got like all the resources over there. So I want to point people to that as well. So I love that. Well, I am going to say the name of your book one more time for people who maybe didn't catch it at the beginning. It's called Know Yourself, Know Your Money. And it's out in the world now. So you can go grab it. And I'm so grateful for your time today and just this conversation. So I want you to tell people, Rachel, where they can connect with you, grab the book, all the things.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Yeah. My podcast, Rachel Cruze Show, is on podcast. I also have a YouTube version of it. So you can watch it on Facebook or YouTube. RachelCruze.com. Yeah. Has the book or anywhere books are sold. So Amazon, Target, Walmart, anywhere it's there.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, I'm grateful for you. And what we're going to do now is hop on over to our Patreon page. So for people who have not subscribed over there yet, we have an extra conversation with each one of our guests just to get to know them a little better. It's so much fun. They're usually 5 to 10 minutes long. So if you want to get to know Rachel a little bit better, you can hop on over there to patreon.com/dothethingmovement to listen to our extra conversation. So Rachel, thanks for being with me today.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks for having me on.